even though there are people from many different backgrounds, ethnicities, ancestries, I believe that at some point the divinities of the earth used to rule the societies, the tribes, the nations, and at some point it all changed with the colonization, with the global colonization of the Romans and then Europe, and we shifted from being children of the earth to be children of the sky, and that changed everything. So I'd like to share this with you because I think that you can adapt it to your lifestyles. It'll be something easy to practice that comes from us. And one of the teachings of one of my elders was that before you talk about the sacred, you have to honor the sacred. And so I do that by burning this little sage, just to represent that we are in a sacred space, because now we're talking about the sacred things. You can pass it around, smudge yourselves. So a lot is spoken about what is sacred, and I'm going to set up some words so that you understand more or less what I'm talking about. I'm going to try to avoid using the word God, because the word God is very loaded with cultural things from, So I'm just gonna say sacred. It means the things that are sacred like, and teot. That's a word that we use for to represent different kinds of sacrednesses. Archaeologists use this word to mean gods, but it doesn't quite translate in the language. Other people say that teot is like an energy that runs through everything. So that's not how I'm going to use it. Teot is a really ancient word. It comes from the Aztecan language family. Its roots go back to the Proto-Aztecan language that the last we know of was present in the Chumash-Tongva area of California, and then from there we can trace its history through the many different tribes that survive to this day, like the Hopi, the Raramuri, the Huararikai, the Nayeri, and obviously ultimately the Nahuatl. And this word has many meanings. It derives from the idea of the sun and what the sun represents. It represents, for example, I'll give you an example. This land here, this is called Teotlali. Teotlali, wrongly translated, would be land of the gods, but in reality means fleshless land. It's barren. Teocuitlat. Teocuitlat has the beginning of teot as well. Teocuitlat is excrement. And the gold is called Teocuitlat.
The what is called?
Gold.
The toad?
Gold.
Oh, gold.
So gold would be considered excrement. Yeah. And I don't want to get into that, but essentially, just wanted to show you how this word has a lot of meanings. And the meaning that I'm going to use today is of the sacred or sacred-like. Where's the... Oh, it's over here. Thank you. So I'm going to tell you a story of one of my peoples, the Rurarikai. They say that a long time ago, the Teot gathered together and said, what are we going to do? Because our children have nothing. What are we going to do for them? Who is willing to go down there and sacrifice themselves for them? And all of the Teots said, me, me, me. Everybody raised their hands and they were all excited because they wanted to help out the humans, their children. And they began to descend like raindrops onto the land. And when they were falling onto the land, when they hit the land, they became rabbits, they became weeds, they became rocks, they became rivers, they became oceans, they became everything that is. And for that reason, the Burarikai, they believe everything is Teot. And because everything is Teot and we consume everything that is Teot, in a sense we are also Teot. And in a sense, the sacred, the Teot and us are one. So whatever happens to the Teot happens to us. It's a direct relationship. There is no distinction. We have different levels of Teot. Teot here that we have, that we are feeling on our feet. This is one of the names is Tlalteuctli, the Lord or Lordess of the earth. In our language, there is no gender, so do not you don't have to add, male representation, female representation. Some of them are particularly male or female, and others aren't. Tlalteuctli isn't female or male. I don't want to get into this is a really expansive culture. It's very complex, because some people refer to this as the Mother Earth. But in our culture, there's different layers of femininity. Not everyone's a mother. Not everyone is a grandmother. You see, so the earth is the same way. The surface of the earth that has the greenery that feeds us is called Kilastli, but is only related to the plants that are edible. And then when we refer to the trees and everything else, we call that Coatlicue, she who has the skirt of serpents, because the seasons is like a serpent shedding its flesh, its skin yearly. So it's a metaphorical representation of the idea. We also have Tonatiu, that one up there. Tonatiu means it who goes warming. It's like warming us, right? It goes warming. So the names for our sacred things are really just everything that is. There is no special designation or importance. They're all important. So we have those Teots that are like the wind, the rain, the 4 kinds of water manifestations. We have the many different forms of earth manifestations. We have different forms of wind manifestations, and all of these are the sacred. All these are the Teot. And we consider these Teot because these things have the capacity to keep us alive, but they also have the capacity to take us, to destroy us. And these have no preference for anybody. They have no preference. We could be praying to the wind. Wind, don't come and take me, don't take my house. It doesn't give a rat's ass. It's just, it does what it does. It's blind. Because remember that at the end of the day, we are them as well. And there is no preferential treatment. Which then that means that if he says in his village, please don't come here, go over there. See, that creates conflict. When you have sacred things that prefer you over me. In our culture, the Teots have no preference for anybody. That's the important aspect. So those are the main Teots, the life givers, the life takers. And then we have the Teots who are the shapers of culture, of identity. For this one, I'll share two with you. One is called let's see, Pactonal. Pactonal and Shomoko. This here. So they said that a long time ago that there was no sun, and once there was a sun, the sun didn't want to move. So he said, you must give of yourselves so that I can move. And so they shot the sun 4 times with arrows of ice. And it moved. And then it moved. And then he ducked. And then he jumped. And then he's like, okay, you didn't get me. So you have to give of yourselves. So this sun, we call it Nawi Olin, 4 movement. It moved 4 times. But then it didn't move, he said, until the rest of the Teo give of themselves, offer themselves. So then they went ahead and they bled themselves, and they gave of themselves in that way, and then the sun moved. Keep that story. Then there was no earth, it was just water. And then they said, we need something solid on the water. And so there was a giant crocodile, giant, I mean immensely giant. And they sent 2 of the Teot, Tezcatlipoca and Quetzalcoatl, and they went down there and they found another one called Zipactli, and they tore her to pieces. Zipactli means crocodile, and all of its parts floated on the water, on the surface of the water. And so then what started life, because we'll know that we depend on the movement of the earth in conjunction with the sun for us to have, the environment that we have, the earth movement and the growing of the seasons and all that stuff. So this Teot is called Zipactonal. The first day of the calendar, of our ancient calendar, is Crocodile Day. Is related to that story. Oshomoko means two lanterns. This means the sky, the sun and the moon. So the earth and the moon, as the sun moves, we have time now. We have movement. And that is what also provides life. So you can see how every single thing that we have is related to the sacred. All of our mythologies is related to that. It's the telling of how we are connected, deeply connected to our environment. We recognize that is what gives us life. And it is for that reason that we do the 4 directions when we do our ceremony. It's because we are embracing, we're recognizing, we are venerating that which gives us life. The funny thing about veneration is that it's an appreciation. And when you learn to appreciate and venerate things, then you become far more loving and far more understanding. Veneration is different than worship. Veneration is as if you go to your mother and say to your mother, "Mother, I love you. You raised me, you gave me life, you fed me, you educated me, you made me who I am. Here is an offering for you as gratitude for what you've given me." You see, that's different than worship. And that's what our ancestors used to do. It's a constant veneration of each other also. We often have these things called giveaways. When we get married, instead of us getting gifts, we give gifts to the people, because it is the people who have made us, not the other way around, you see. So that's an example of something today that we do that represents this idea.